Yesterday, when we introduced the philosophies in general, their tendency, what problem actually they take up, whether they are just theoretical in nature or do they really take care of or they concern themselves about the real life problems. And this is the major difference between Western philosophy and the Indian philosophies. Uh, Indian philosophies are invariably having practical bearance. I mean, if it is not supported by any practical perspective, then such a philosophy is not there in India. People did not go about just thinking and proposing some theory which has no practical significance, no implication, only theoretical or satisfying some intellectual needs. That was not the case. So all the philosophies in India had their followers. Even now they have their followers, more or less. Number may be less or number may be more. Some of the philosophies may have become sort of extinct, but they have left their impact on other philosophies and contribution their share. Therefore, these philosophies are practical because they took up the practical problem and then proposed the solution. And the problem was the very basic need of the human being that we have seen. So, as we categorize, first of all the philosophies agree upon that we should get rid of the pain or sorrow, minimum that much, and we should get rid of in such a way that we should surely get rid of it, and we should get rid of it forever. So these are the two criteria: surely and forever. Second thing is whether the state where you are proposed to the philosophers propose you to take, whether that is a happy state or not. It may be a neutral state, unconscious state, or what you say, like the sentient beings and insentient beings. It can be insentient also, or it can be sentient. It can be of the nature of joy also. So these are three stages. Minimum boundary is lack of, or the sorrows will be taken away forever, for sure. And then there can be a neutral stage or there can be a happy stage. These are the three stages. One common point which is important to look at for all the philosophies in the world, in fact, or that is applicable to all the thought processes in the world, all the branches of knowledge to some extent or other. The question is whether the material, the insentient material, Jaḍa, moves itself or not. Material can move itself, any particle, any concrete, individual particle or particles taken together concrete, whether they move themselves or they need something to move them. So things moved and the mover, whether two different entities are necessary or not, depending on various views are framed. So here, material and material mover. What will be the nature of material? What will be the nature of mover, etc.? That is to be ascertained later on. Various philosophies propose them the theories, but the common concern is to understand the philosophies from a different perspective. This particular point is important. There are branches of knowledge which propose the material moves itself. It doesn't need any external agency to move them. So the material mover is negated. It's not necessary. Now there are various questions. If the material moves itself, then the question is, is it conscious where to move, what is to be produced? All these things in the world, beautiful world is created. Is it possible for the dead material, self-moving dead material to form, etc.? But the material moves itself. That is one thing. So science, to some extent, some scientists, because the quantum mechanics has changed the view, they are now searching for some the particles themselves conscious or themselves dead or some external agency moving them. So they are solving the problem. They have not made a final statement. But like Newtonian or the classical physics or classical thinking, they had the particles do not move themselves, because Newton stated that any inert object stays in the state of inertia unless and until acted upon by external unbalanced force, or any moving object will keep moving if it is not halted, or no pressure is applied to change its movement. So that is how he stated. So the question here is, any inert object will not move by itself. That is assumption. And any moving object will not come to a halt if it is not acted upon by any external agency. So the question here arises, if any inert object doesn't move by itself, then any moving object, did it move by itself? And if did not move by itself, then who moved it? It's a question. And if that inert object, which the object which is moving, if it moved itself, then why the other objects at inertia will not move by themselves? So these are the questions in the first law of Newton, or whatever, first or second, I don't remember now. But any law, the law is thus. So these are the questions there. But at quantum level, this question. Thank you. So, but at the quantum level, these laws are not operative. They say there are different laws, or some changes are to be accepted and radical changes accepted, and that's why they are not making a final statement whether the particles will move themselves or whether some agency, some observer is necessary, etc., etc. So bringing up science here is only for the purpose that when we look at the order of the things, whether they dead objects or the inert objects or the insentient objects, so to say, move themselves, or some external agencies required. So science is having this particular position. And any conscious mover, whether accepted or not, remains unresolved yet. Science doesn't say that it is not at all there. It is exploring. If at all in future some such conscious mover is to be accepted and some scientific community proposes, science is wide open to accept if it is brought forward in a proper empirical manner. So that is not the difficult. Then we come to not philosophies but theologies. Christian theology and Islamic, they are same in that manner, that the we will take Newton for this particular purpose. Newton, being scientist and very deep thinker, he was very much believer of Christianity, and according to Christianity, the God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th day, and this thing happened around 4,000 years from here, some date, 23rd of October at 9 a.m., etc., etc. 2023 BC or something like that, the date is mentioned. That time the world was created, that day the world was created, etc. And according to Christian theology, the God who created the world, he is the governor, mover of the world. However, Newton came to know from the laws of matter that such is not the necessity. There is no external mover necessary, and that's why it is recorded in the life of Newton that he had at times depression, because he found the findings of science are going against the Christian theological view. So from here we come to know that Christian view is there is some God who created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th day, but nonetheless the world is or the particles are moved by some external agency, some principle. The nature of principle is to be ascertained, or it may be there, but we are not going into it now. And Mohammedanism or Islam also, more or they being Semitic in nature, all three they are similar. They do not differ much. Then we come to Indian philosophy. Indian philosophy is here, Charvaka, which we want to take up. They say there is no external principle which moves the things of the world. They themselves move, no external principle necessary. Jaina and Jainism and Buddhism, they too agree upon this thing that no external agent necessary. The things can operate themselves, no external agent is necessary. So that's how the denial of God comes in. Here external principle means somehow it is labeled as God. So external agent, the mover is God and is not necessary. And in the 6 orthodox systems we find the Nyaya Vaisheshika system accepts that the external mover is necessary and he has material at hand and he uses that material to create this world. And one agent is sufficient and that is named as Paramatma, etc. Yoga to some extent, yoga philosophy of Patanjali to some extent accept this view. Sankhya system doesn't accept this view. They say the material is there, some basic material, they call it Prakriti. It can move itself, it can create this world by itself. No external agent is necessary, so no God necessary. That's how Sankhyas deny the necessity of acceptance of any principle as God, etc. Same is the case with the Mimamsa, the Purva Mimamsa or Mimamsa. They too say that the things of the world can be created from the basic things, whatever. Some say some particles or some say Prakriti, they have opinion difference. But the things move themselves and no external agent necessary. Things can happen on themselves. Then we come to Vedanta. Vedanta says, like as we said, whether there being 2 principles, like the mover and the things moved. So for the Charvaka, Jaina, Bauddha, Sankhya and Mimamsa, the mover principle which is moving the agent is not accepted, only the world is there. Whereas when we come to Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Christianity, Islam, etc., Semitic religions, and to some extent the yoga, they say that God is necessary to move the things. So both the things are necessary, the material and the God. Both do exist and the God or the agent moves the things. When we come to Vedanta, especially Advaita Vedanta, there are 8 sections or subdivisions of Vedanta. Out of that, we will primarily take up Advaita Vedanta for the time being. So the Vedanta says only God exists and no matter exists. Very surprising. Only God exists and no matter exists. So there can be 4 positions, that matter and God. So only matter exists, 1. Only God exists, 2nd. God is there and he has matter at hand and God uses that matter for creation of the world, that is 3rd position. And 4th position, only both do not exist. That is very odd, but the Madhyamika, one in the Buddhism, one type of Buddhism has to some extent this particular proposition that both do not exist, neither the world nor the God. So this is how, if we take these two principles, matter and the God, so according to this particular standpoint, we can look at the philosophies of the world, how they approach. And then the questions come and they try to solve or answer the question. Moving forward, we come to Charvaka philosophy. They are called materialists, easily prevalent in the society, lokayata. Naturally, people tend to behave like Charvakas, etc. What do they say? So, who has brought this thing in? Yesterday, I had mentioned little bit. Charvaka, the word itself is like charu vak. Charu means attractive, beautiful. Vak means the words or the sayings. The words are or the sayings are very attractive, very beautiful in nature, very easy to understand, very easy to practice. So that's why that is called a charvak. That is one way of putting the word charvak. There was some charvak person named Charvak, follower of Brihaspati, Devaguru, the master of the Devas, Brihaspati, and this person Charvaka somehow got the philosophy from the Brihaspati, and later on he propounded, propagated, and that's how it came to be known as Charvaka philosophy. This is how the origin is stated. Why at all the master or the guru of Devas will go for some such philosophy which is so logically odd? And in fact, it is said that the demons and the demigods and gods and demons, they went to the Devaguru Brihaspati to ask for the solution of the problems of life. Then he said that you yourself are the master of the thing. Then they returned. There was Virochana, and Indra and Virochana, two people were there. That is stated in the Upanishad. Virochana thought that I myself, means this body, is the real being, and Indra was a bit thoughtful. Later on, he thought that this body is perishable, and in fact, I cannot be perishable. So there is something he has told, but I have not grasped. So I should go again and ask. So Indra went back and asked, and he further gave instructions, and that's how the concept developed. Whereas the Virochana did not go back; he just depended on the first saying of Brihaspati, and that's how the materialism came into existence. So there are various views about how this particular philosophy came into existence. What do they say? So for any philosophy, they must declare pramanas, the methods or the valid source of knowledge. So according to Charvaka, Pratyakṣa, the direct perception, is only the valid source of knowledge. They do not accept remaining like inference or etc. etc. They don't go for it. We have four sense organs. From these four sense organs, we get to know. So Pratyakṣa is the only pramana. How many things do they accept? Or the, what you say, ontologically, if we want to put it, how many things are there in the world? Basic things, like in chemistry, we go for division, the periodic table, and in the periodic table, the things are arranged according to the number of protons inside the nucleus. However, there are protons, neutrons, and electrons, only three basic particles, and their various combinations give us various atoms. So there are only three basic particles. Now they have gone deeper and they tried to find out God particle, etc. Yet unresolved, but three basic particles. So likewise, what are the basic particles of this world? So according to Charvaka, only four categories they accept: earth, water, air, and fire. These are the four types of substances or the materials available and they have their own particles, and from those permutation combination of all those particles, this world comes into existence. So this body also is some proportion combination in some proportion, the outcome of those particles. The question about, because they had to face the other philosophies, so question, so what is the nature of Jīva in their opinion? So they say there is no life after death, no life before death, there is no conscious principle beyond the material. Now then the question comes, if you say there is no conscious principle beyond the material, so when we take some particle, it itself is not conscious. So if we combine so many particles together, how can there be a consciousness? If one particle is not conscious, how would the combination of particles will have consciousness as some function, some property, whatever, some force, any way you want to name it, but consciousness is there. We cannot deny the consciousness because we perceive the things. They also accept that we get the knowledge from our sense organs, so that is accepted. So we are conscious, and by consciousness we mean we come to know. So how this consciousness is justified? They say, as we have the what we call जिसको पान कहते हैं, betel nut. Yeah. So they say you take that leaf, you take that betel and some supari on it, and that all those 3-4 ingredients. So none of them is red, but when you combine them and chew it, you get the redness. So though redness is not the property of any constituent in that betel nut, you get the new property. Likewise, when you properly combine the particles together, consciousness can be the effect of that. So we don't have to go for any extra entity or any principle which is fifth, for already accepted fifth principle, which is consciousness. So that is not necessary. Another example they give is like when this thing, we take some rice, etc., and from there wine is produced. So the wine, actually when we eat rice or any such ingredients from which the after fermentation wine is produced, initially that wine is not there, but later on due to fermentation process and this and that, the wine comes and then there is intoxication. So we see there are very many examples where the property which is not present in the ingredients, but it comes up in the product with some process or proper combination. Likewise, the consciousness is not a separate entity, it is the outcome of the combination of the particles. So that is how they solve the problem of Jīvatma or the Jīva. Now, what should we do in this life then? So they agree that we should be happy, no doubt. So everybody wants to be happy. So they say, Yavat Jivet Sukham Jivet. So Yavat Jivet Sukham Jivet means be happy as long as you live, because everybody wants to be happy. But then to be happy, we need some material to enjoy. Things, persons and things are necessary for enjoyment. Without that, there is no enjoyment. So if that is the case, then go. If you can earn, well and good. Otherwise, rinam kritva ghritam pibe. So go for even debt if possible. Go and ask for some money from somewhere, get debt and enjoy. But if you have some such debt, then you will have to repay. So they say, don't worry about that. Nasti murtyora gocharaha. Everybody dies. So if you have debt, you may die, or the person from whom you have taken the debt, he may die. But after death, he in the next life, etc., you will have to repay, or there will be some vice or virtue, and by that we will be forced in next life somewhere. They say no, we have not seen anybody coming from the burning ghats. So bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kuta. Once the body is burnt, nobody comes back. So when you die, you will not have to come back to repay the debt, or the person from you have taken, he also will not come. So don't worry. So these are their fourfold, or the four cardinal principles. Yavat jivat sukham jivat. Be happy as long as you live. They say, like, suppose these spiritualists and all other philosophies, they say this world is full of misery, as Buddhism says. Will be coming to it. Full of miseries. There is no happiness. The happiness lies in some other lokas, or if not in some loka, then your nature is the happiness itself. Or at least you can be a dead person instead of being unhappy or in sorrow. It is good to be even a dead being. So they propose, there are various solutions proposed. So Charvaka say, why do you go for all such things? Yes, it is true that there is some unhappiness. We agree, sorrow is there, pain is there. We do not deny. But like when you go for some paddy, etc., there is some husk to be removed. But you remove that and get the rice, proper rice, and you eat and enjoy. Just because you have to go and you have to sow and you have to cut and then you have to take away the husk and then get the rice, there are some efforts necessary. Just because of that, you do not give up the whole work. Nonetheless, you engage yourself. Likewise, there is some unhappiness in the world. So let it be there. Be careful, avoid it as far as possible, and be happy. So then, but there are Vedas, so many people around, they are talking big things. So they say, Trayo Vedasya Kartaraha, Bhanda Dhurta Nishacharaha. These are three types of people. They have created these Vedas. They are Bhanda, Dhurta, and Nishachara. Bhanda means people who lie and cheat. Dhurta, those who plan to take away money from others, etc., by deceit. Dhurta, Nishachara means those who work at night. Actually, Nishachara means Rakshasas. So these are all the Bhanda, Dhurta, and Nishachara. They have written the Vedas. They do not have any meaning, so don't go for it. Unnecessary, because the priestcraft, the priests take away your money, they enjoy very well, and you are at loss. So don't go to priests. And one is priest class, another is spiritualists. They tell that this world is full of sorrow, this and that, etc. And available joy, available happiness here is also not allowed to enjoy, and that which is not seen here, which cannot be enjoyed here, some extra worldly happiness is guaranteed, which we do not know whether we get or not. So don't be after it. Relax and enjoy here. So they are very clear about their principles. Then they come to God. Do you accept the God? They say, no, we do not accept the God which you propose, but we have our own God. Who is the God? So we want to be happy, and one who is the agent of our happiness is God for us. So who is the agent of our happiness? We want wealth to be happy, and wealth in those days, kings were the rulers and they had sufficient wealth. So if king is pleased, he may give some money, wealth he can give, or he can give at least some job so that you can earn. So he will facilitate our livelihood. So king is the God. That is the thing, because he, by his nigraha anugraha karta, nigraha anukarta means one who can control, like, or he can decontrol. Nigraha and anugraha, he can, by his grace, or if he is happy, he can shower his grace and he can give so much of wealth without you being employed anywhere. So he is God. So what is our job? You should go to him and make him happy. Make him happy by praying to him, by his praise, singing some praise, this and that. whatever means. By any king can be happy by something. You should analyze and making happy. And once he is happy, you will get some wealth and you enjoy. So Ishvara is no other Ishvara but the king is Ishvara. That is their principle. So this is how Charvaka system comes into thing. And the public order, you see, it is bit initially, if we look at Charvakas, generally with some contempt. But actually they say they do not stop here. It's not so sad situation. They propose the world order and polity also. Dandaniti and Varta are their practical applicable philosophies. Dandaniti and Varta means, Dandaniti here is actually political system. What we say, penal code, IPC, that is Dandaniti in a way. And Varta means the how to do farming, rear the cattle, and how to do business, and all such things come in the Varta thing. So Dandaniti and Varta, these two things they accept. Chanakya had proposed 4. Out of that, they accept 2. They do not accept Trayi and Anvikshiki, wastage of time, or even the others, Lutu, etc. They have their own arguments. So, but they accept Dandaniti and Varta, and they accept the political form. They accept the proper farming and proper, what you say, business, industry, etc., etc. So they have their own propositions. But do they have any proper book? There is no proper book as such to propose Dandaniti and Varta. Whichever is available in the market, you go for it and use it. They do not have their own in detail Dandaniti and Varta. Those are already there by others, so go for it. That is how Charvakism is in a way summed up. That comes to conclusion that Charvak is very practical and easy to understand. Most of the people naturally go for it. If they are not introduced by any other philosophy, introduced to any other philosophy, system of thought, whether good or bad, so naturally people tend to, because everybody wants to be happy, that is natural tendency, and this thing comes up and they have systematized, so they propose it. That is Charvak system. They are called materialists also, because they do not go for any materialist means they do not go for any other worldly things here in this world, this worldly. That's why materialist, nothing more. Materialist doesn't mean anything bad, but they do not go for any other world or spirituality or any such thing. That's how they propose, and they propose to make everyone happy. At least you be yourself happy. Whether you make others happy or not, they are not bothered of it. But you be Yavat Jiva Sukham Jiva. Anybody who wants to be one who lives as long as you should be happy. That's all. They have not any other niti as such, make others happy. Like we say, we come across maximum happiness of maximum people. So they do not propose any such thing, because the moment they say Rinam Kritva Ghritam Pibet, so go for debt, take money from others, borrow, and be happy. You need not pay it back. So there some sort of element is involved where you don't care for others' happiness. Since you have taken debt from them, he may need in his days of need, or even he wants to be happy. But in that case, you do not propose to pay him at the right moment. So naturally, you are not more concerned about others' happiness, but you are more concerned about your own happiness. So from those fourfold path or 4 cardinal principles, we come to know that they are more self-centered. All right, but that is how it is. Then we move on to next philosophy, that is Jainism. First of all, we'll take Jainism and then we'll move to Buddhism. As it is already stated, Indian philosophical systems, Bharatiya Darshan, orthodox and heterodox. this Charvaka system was heterodox because they did not accept Vedas as the valid source of knowledge. They even abused it. So many things as Trayo Vedasya Kartaraha Bhandadurta Nishacharaha. Likewise, Jainas also do not accept the authority of Vedas. Nonetheless, they accept authority of the books from the 24 Tīrthaṅkaras, the realized souls, so to say, or those who have achieved what is proposed in their religion, Tīrthaṅkara. So here Jaina is the word. Jaina word comes from Jina. Jina means one who has conquered. One who has conquered the raga dvesha. Raga is the feeling of getting attracted to something or feeling that this is dear to me. That is raga. And dvesha is this is not good to me. I hate it. Hatred. So dvesha is hatred. So these two feelings, one who has conquered, one who doesn't have raga and dvesha, one who has conquered these two is Jina. And the philosophy coming out of that, the religion coming out of their sayings and life, etc., is Jaina. And in English it is Jainism. That is how the word has come. The person who has conquered is Jina, or he is Tīrthaṅkara also. He is also called as Tīrthaṅkara. One who spreads purity, etc. Here Tīrthaṅkara means one who spreads purity. That can be the translation. There are 24 Tīrthaṅkaras, beginning with Ṛṣabhadeva and the last one Mahavira, Vardhaman Mahavir. Vardhaman Mahavir was almost contemporary of Gautam Buddha, nearly 500 BC. The approx time is 500 BC. The time of Ṛṣabhadeva is not known. It's difficult to ascertain their time. So, but out of these Tīrthaṅkaras, 24 Tīrthaṅkaras, some are mentioned in the Hindu scriptures. Even Bhagavata has Ṛṣabhadeva mentioned. Ṛṣabhadeva's son was Bharata, or sometimes called Jaḍa Bharata. And this, from this Bharat, in Bharat, India is named as Bharat. That is one way of putting the things. There are various ways of interpreting. Everybody has his own viewpoint. Right or wrong, it is left to the scholars. But they propose there was this particular, from Bhagavata we come to know that Ṛṣabhadeva is mentioned in Bhagavat and his son was Bharata, and from there Bharata has come. So Ṛṣabhadeva is not just a Tīrthaṅkara of Jainas. He is accepted in Hinduism also. His thought process is also mentioned in Bhagavata, what philosophy he proposed. So and present Jainism and the things mentioned in Bhagavata, they are more or less similar. So it can be ascertained that the Ṛṣabhadeva mentioned in Bhagavata is the same one which is the first Tīrthaṅkara of Jainism. And last Tīrthaṅkara, Vardhaman Mahavir. Vardhaman Mahavir was born in what is Muzaffarpur now, Vaishali, a village named Kundagram. In that particular, those days we cannot call Vaishali as district. Now we have this district concept. So Jainas have two sects or the cults, Śvetāmbara and Digāmbara. Śvetāmbara, Śveta means white, Ambara means cloth. Those who wear white cloth. Not all the followers wear, but their full-time practitioners or munis, we can say, they wear the white cloth. And Digambara, Dik means the directions or the space. Ambara means cloth. Those who have these directions as Ambara, that means they do not wear anything. So these are Digambara. According to Śvetāmbara, Mahavir was married, and according to Digambara sect, he was unmarried. He went for penances or tapasya and got the experience which was necessary. And when he got that experience, his age was around 42 years. And when he got that experience, when he, as Buddha started spreading his message, he started from Sarnath. He got first 4 Brahmin disciples. Likewise, Vardhaman Mahavir got one Indrabhuti as disciple. He was a very learned scholar he was Brahmin and a learned scholar. His name is Indrabhuti. He got him, and later on he is very famous as Ganadhara. The first Ganadhara is very famous in Jain systems. Vardhaman Mahavir attained nirvana or the salvation or the final attainment, or he left the mortal coil at Pavapuri. It is in Bihar near to Rajgir, somewhere from Patna to Rajgir. On the way there is one place, Pavapuri. Now we come to, as it is stated, there are 2 cults or sects, Digambara and Śvetāmbara. Philosophically, they are not different. They follow the same philosophy. They differ in some practices. Philosophically same, but practice-wise they differ. Their reference books also are quite different. The Śvetāmbaras have 45 basic books. Most of them are not available now. Out of how these 45 come up: 11 Angas, 12 Upangas, 10 Prakirna, 6 Cheda Sutra, 4 basic books, and 2 independent books, etc. This is how the number 45 comes. These Digambara say that these books are not existent. These are not acceptable to us, and whatever is you propose, you say from those books is not accepted. So that is one basic difference about the reference books. Digambaras propose 6 Khandagamas. Those are written by one named Bhutabali and another Pushpadanta. Another book they take as a reference book is Kasaya Pahud or Kashaya Prabhur, written by some Gunadhara. So these are some basic books of Jainas, or the 2 sects of Jainism. We come to philosophical part of it. So when we come to philosophical part, it is their philosophical system is named as Anekāntavāda or Syādvāda. What is this Anekāntavāda or Syādvāda? It's very interesting. They say you cannot say about anything that it is this much. It can be this, it can be little more, and there are infinite possibilities about it. So to state that thing, they propose Syādasti. Syādvāda is they have 7 ways of looking at it. Syādasti. It may be so. Syādnasti. It may not be so. Syādasti cha, Syādnasti cha. It may be so or it may not be so. So possibilities are open. Syādavaktavyam. 4th thing is Syādavaktavyam. Indescribable. Maybe something is there, you are unable to describe, a certain no. So now we have one asti, then nasti, and then combination of asti and nasti, third thing, syad asti cha, syad nasti cha, third thing. We have now fourth, avaktavyam, syad avaktavyam. Now these three things are combined, and we have three more stages, like syad asti cha, syad avaktavyam cha. It may be so or it may not be expressible. Syad nasti cha, syad avaktavyam cha. It may not be so, and you may not be expressing it well or ascertaining it well. Syad asti cha, syad nasti cha, syad avaktavyam cha. It may be so, it may not be so, and likewise. So these are 7 ways of looking at a thing. This is very important because in most of the philosophies, nature of thing is fixed. It is this and not that. Like very clear, whether clear or not, the Jainis will say that no, it's not clear, actually you are wrong, because we do not say that is anything is like that much only. So they leave a window wide open, and that makes the philosophy accommodative, what we call religious harmony. All the possibilities, because syad asti, syad nasti, etc., etc., whichever the possibility, yes, maybe, quite possible, may not be, quite possible. So that's how it becomes harmonious, accommodative, leaving the window wide open for things to be proposed and accepted. Now we'll take one example. What is the syad asti and nasti? One example is necessary. How do you say that one thing is yes it is and yes it is not? Apparently it's so contradictory. So in this Indian philosophical systems, like there is a pot. Why is it a pot? Because it has potness in it. If it has no potness in it, it is not a pot. If we use Sanskrit words, ghata, pot is ghata, and that ghata has potness, that is ghatatva. So why is this a ghata? Because it has ghatatva, it has potness in it. If it doesn't have potness in it, it is not a pot. Now there is a cloth, and cloth has clothness, or there is a pata and it has patatva. So does the ghata have, as ghata has or the pot has potness, does it have clothness in it? No, it doesn't have. So though it is a pot, because it has potness, it doesn't have clothness in it, so it is not a cloth. So if you look at a pot, yes, it is a pot, but it is not a cloth. It doesn't have clothness in it. So this way, it is, you look at that particular thing from one standpoint, from the potness standpoint, yes, it appears to you as a pot. But if you look at it from the standpoint of clothness, then it is not a cloth. So syad nasti, it is not that. This is how the things move. We come to these are the seven ways of looking at the thing. How many things do they accept? In a way, ontology. How many things they accept? So, or anything they accept, what is their nature, sort of thing. So they say, one example is very important. The material, they accept material, and that material is sat. Its nature is sat. Like whenever there is anything, what defines it, or what are the properties by which you make it known? that is called lakshan, attributes. You tell some such attributes by which it will be known invariably without any mistake. So that particular statement is lakshana, through which we come to know the thing. So dravya is what the material is sat, they say. What is sat? It has three things. One is utpada, second is vyaya, and third is dravya. Utpada is production, vyaya is destruction, dravya means constancy or stability or durability. Actually, durability is not proper. Durable means to some time, if you little more time, it stays on, but nonetheless, at some point of time, it may go down. So dravya is not that way durability. Endurability, you can say, or eternity, we can say. Constancy is good. So one example will make it clear. What is it? We have clay, it's lump, and the potter makes a pot from that lump. When a pot is being created, the lump undergoes destruction. That is vyaya. So destruction of the lump. Lump doesn't stay in the form of lump or that clod, but it becomes pot. And at the same time, the pot is under creation. So pot gets created, utpada. That particular shape of that clay, clod, lump, etc., whatever, that gets destroyed. But the clay inside it is constant. So there is utpada of a thing, there is destruction of a thing, and the thing undergoing that change is constant. The clay is constant. One example will make it bit that's how they give it. There was a king, he had one son and daughter. There was a golden pot. The king was interested in the golden pot, the gold itself, whether it remains this or that, but we have the gold sufficient. He was happy with it. His son wanted that pot, and he wanted to make some, what you say, mukut. What is it called? Mukut. He wanted to make, I just forget the name, what is mukut called, because I have to read it in Hindi and translate it to English. All right.
Sir, crown.
Huh?
Sir, we know it's a crown.
Crown, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Crown, yes. So that king's son went for it. He took that golden pot and he gave it to some person, and then he transformed it into crown. But the king's daughter wanted it, the pot itself. She was very unhappy. The Rajkumar was very happy, but the king was neither happy nor unhappy, because whether it is in the form of crown or in the form of pot, it was there, the gold was there, so the basic thing was there. That is how the thing, though the gold remained gold, the pot lost its shape, potness and whatever. So there was this vyaya or the destruction. The crown was created, so there was this utpada, but the gold was constantly there. So dravya. So this is the nature or the identifying characteristics of dravya. That is how they put it. How many dravyas do they accept is the question. To begin with, two dravyas, Jīva and Ajiva. We'll classify them further. Jīva and Ajiva. Jīva is of two types: Mukta, liberated, and transmigratory, samsari. There are some jivas who get liberation. So after liberation, those are mukta jivas, liberated jivas, and some keep on some are practicing, trying to get liberation, but nonetheless they are transmigratory now in the samsara, in the cycle of birth and death. And there is one category, they do not, they never get liberation. That is also one category. All right. Then this Jīva, Ajiva, two main categories. Out of that, the second one is Ajiva. Ajiva is of 5 types: Pudgala, Akasha, Dharma, Adharma, and Kāla. We take up Pudgala. What is Pudgala? Pudgala is actually the general material which we see around. The world is created out of that material which we see here is Pudgala. So the Pudgala is classified into 2 categories: Anu and concrete or Sanghata. The basic constituent particle Anu, and combination of them creates Sanghata or concrete. Now, these Pudgalas in their Anu form or the simple form are indivisible. They do not have constituent parts further, indivisible. That is what, in a way, we can say what was named as God particles. What actually the God particle is? The particle which is not created from anything, but it is the cause of all other creations of the material creation. So that is one of the characteristic of the God particle. So that is how these are the particles. They themselves are not divisible, but they come in contact and they create this world. Now here the basic difference, these Paramanus are accepted by the Nyaya, Vaisheshika and Mimamsakas, etc. They accept Paramanus. There are many systems which tend to accept Paramanus because that is one very logical in a way to accept. Even the Large Hadron Collider and all, they were trying to get, God knows, I do not know exactly. I have asked some scientists whether God particle really was found or not. Some say yes, some say no, let it be there. But there was a thought behind, they assumed that there will be some God particle. Mathematically, they conceived it. Then they conceived the experiment to analyze it, whether we can get it. That's how the that lab or whatever the experiment was built, and then they tried to get it. So there is somewhere back of the mind some basic particle, indivisible basic particle, which is not made up of anything, but from everything is, or this world is made up of it, made up of from the particle. So that is Anu here. The basic difference here is from the Nyaya, Vaisheshika and other, even Socrates also proposed 4 types of particles. So the basic difference here is Nyaya system proposes 4 types of basic Paramanus. Prithvi or the earth Paramanu, water Paramanu, Jala, then Teja, fire, and Vayu, air. They are basically different in nature. When we go to the basic particle, individual particle or Paramanu level, they are basically different. 4 types of simple particles. Whereas Jainism says there are no 4 types of particles, only 1 type of particle. This variation in the world comes because of their whether loosely contact or tightly contact or this and that, various ways of Dyonuka Trinuka formation. So accordingly the variety is coming, but it's not that the basic particles are of 4 types. That is very basic difference, a very important difference. Then we come to Akasha. Here Akasha is actually Avakasha, that which gives space for the things to stay. That is Akasha. Akasha is that which gives Avakasha, gives space for the things to keep. That is Akasha here. And here all the things are composed of particles. That is very important factor. Even Akasha, that is also a combination of particles. Bit odd to assume here, but that is how it is proposed. Then 2 words come, Dharma and Adharma. Generally, Dharma, these words are a bit tricky and many dimensions. In the general systems, when at some such place we mention dharma, and in Nyaya, Vaisheshika, or even in Vedanta and also places, dharma has two connotations. One is any practice. I go and worship this particular god or give donations to this, etc. So that practice is dharma. That is one meaning. And forbidden practice is adharma. That is adharma there in that context. Another meaning there is if we do good acts, merit is acquired, and that merit is stored somewhere inside, whether it is stored in the inner organ, Antakarana, or whether it is stored in the self, or there are various interpretations. So that particular merit or punya, dharma is punya, but that is not the material. It is a characteristic or a property, guna. Like I have this cloth, it has the threads as its material, constituent material, but its color is a property, guna, and that guna is not material. It is the guna of the material, but guna itself or the property characteristic itself is not material. Likewise, dharma there, when it is said as punya, adrishta, apurva, punya, it is the property, the guna, not the material. But here in Jaina philosophy, dharma is particles and adharma is also particles. Basic difference, very vast difference. And then we come to Kāla. Now, this one more thing about the dharma and adharma. What is their role? When the things of the world or the pudgalas, generally the world is created out of pudgalas, and Akasha gives the space for the things to stay. What is the role of dharma and adharma? Dharma and adharma is like, suppose the fish wants to swim, it needs water. Water doesn't make the fish swim, doesn't stop also. If it wants, it will move itself. If the fish wants to stop, the fish should stop itself. Water is not in a way active in doing anything to it, but presence of water is absolutely necessary, otherwise fish can't swim. Likewise, this dharma and adharma are the things when the things of the world wants to move. Dharma is like water, and when the things want to stop, adharma comes into play. That is the role of dharma and adharma. Then we come to Kāla. Kāla is also combination of particles, but all this what we have so far seen, Jīva, if we like take from Jīva and Ajiva, Ajiva is of these 5 types and Jīva is there. So if we start counting, Jīva, Pudgala, Akasha, Dharma, Adharma and Kāla, 6 things are there. Out of these 6 things, there is another way of classifying: Astikaya and Anastikaya. Astikaya, Asti means has the existence, and Kaya in the form of body. So they are present in some concrete form, sort of, in the form of body. So those things are Astikaya, whereas Kāla is Anastikaya. It is not like we have I have this book, it has some body form, so it is Astikaya. But Kāla is not of this type, though it is composite. It ought to accept whatever they have their own ways of logic of supporting, and it becomes very difficult to accept at some level that how can Kāla be the composite or concrete or combination of particles, but that is how that is proposed. But it is Anastikaya. It is not having any concrete shape as such, so to say, or their particles are, though located at their places, they do not move. And Kāla has, like as we said, Dharma, Adharma has its role. So Kāla has its role in the things of the world. What kind of role? Now suppose a potter wants to make a pot, and he wants to put that clay lump on the wheel, and that wheel is to be placed on some fulcrum. That fulcrum will help the wheel to move. So the fulcrum is necessary. Without that, the wheel will not move. He will have to turn that wheel, and that clay will be given shape. So the fulcrum has its importance. It neither makes the wheel move nor stops, but it is necessary. Likewise, Kāla is necessary for the things of the world. That is the role of Kāla. Now, so far so good. We have what you say ontology. The padarthas they accept are stated, but we have to come to what is the use of it and how the things are used for the philosophical part of the life. So they accept 7 principles. Those are the 7 materials, so to say. There are 7 principles. Now we come to that. Out of that we have studied a few, like Jīva and Ajiva. These are 2. Then Asrava, Bandha, Samvara, Nirjara, and Moksha. We are taking them up. So Jīva is already seen. Jīva is of 2 types: liberated and transmigratory. Transmigratory under force. Ajiva is the Pudgala, Akasha, Dharma, Adharma, and Kāla. Then comes Asrava. Asrava is a gate. As here we have to understand one thing. This Jīva, what is its nature? Though we stated that, but its nature was not told. We have in the world, so to say, some basic particles, simple particles. They combine and recombine, and some big objects are created. We will call the particles as simple, and the combination will be concrete. Simple and concrete. Now, can there be a object which is big enough of the size of this body or any body, but not concrete? This is very important. But not concrete. Is there any such object in the world? Whether it is there in the world or not is a different question. But Jaina system proposes the Jīva to be of that nature. It is of the size of the body, but not composite or not concrete. And what is the identifying characteristic is Chetana Lakshano Jīvaha. So it is conscious. That is conscious. Now, since transmigration, moving from one body to another, is accepted in Jainism, and according to your karma, you may get any body, animal, plant, this and that, male, female, long, short, fat, whatever. If Jīva moves from one body to another, then how will it accommodate? What will be its shape in the smaller body? Suppose a fat fellow dies and he becomes a small animal. In that case, what will happen to that size of the Jīva? So they say, as you have a lamp, burning lamp, you place in a small room, the light fills that room, that much only. And if you place it in a bigger room, the light goes up to the walls of that room and it fills that room, bigger room. Likewise, this Jīva will take the shape of the body which it takes. That is the nature of Jīva. So Jīva is neither simple particle of the smallest size, nor it is all pervasive vibhu as other systems propose. It is of the nature, it is of the size of the body. Now, the difficulty of that Jīva is it is in bondage due to its karma. It has this Dharmā and Adharmā, those particles attached to it. The thing is, those as we do karma, because of our raga dvesha, attraction to something, hatred towards something, the things to which we are attracted, we want those things, and then we go and act, and we do some acts, and because of that, some karma phala, some residual effect, karma accrues to us. That is dharma here. But that residual effect dharma here is particles. And if you do some wrong act, then adharma comes, those particles come. Their door is called as asrava. The third out of 7 principles, third one is asrava, the door, the gateway. And from there, this dharma, adharma come in to the jiva. And there is bondage. Now, this bondage is also very unique, peculiar, unique, whatever. As if there is sub-zero temperature like -10, -30, etc. And if we catch hold of some metal, in a very short while, what happens is our hand, the skin gets stuck to it. Some bond takes place. And there is some cold burn also. And if somebody tries to remove the hand, his skin will be left there. There some bond occurs. One has to heat this and that, many things. That's why in the cold countries, these difficulties arise. Catching the metal, a very cold metal thing, is a very bad thing. Even if we catch a very hot thing, there are burns, but it doesn't create in a way bond by which you can't take the hand away. I gave the example of cold because there the hand is stuck there. Likewise, the dharma, adharma paramanus or the particles come, they get stuck to the jiva. That's why this example was given. They come through the gate called asrava and they get stuck. They form a bondage. That is the 4th principle, bandha. This is the nature of bandha here. And now up to this, the problem is stated. This jiva is under the sway of these particles, the dharma, adharma coming and getting attached. And since when? Beginningless. It has no beginning. All the Indian philosophies excepting Charvaka all say the bandha or the problem of the human being is beginningless. It is not that at some date it has begun. It is beginningless. This system also accepts that. Now, this bandha is there. The aim is to get rid of all those dharma and adharma. Do away that thing. Otherwise, what happens is, in the presence of dharma and adharma, you are taken to next life, next birth. Whether good or bad, whether you want or not, you will be taken there. And that is the force of it. So, get away of it. That is very important. Otherwise, you will be subject to the transmigratory existence, and chances of getting out of it are very rare, because it is only human birth where you get the philosophy, you come to know and you get rid of it. Otherwise, you will be lost. So, what to do then? The way is, first of all, stop the gate from where the dharma and adharma was coming in. So, samvara is the 5th principle. Samvara. Stop the thing. Close the gate. How to do that is, then there is prescription. Don't do this, avoid this, etc., etc. Prescriptions and prohibitions, vidhi and nisheda, those things come in. So, samvara is brought in. No new thing should be accrued. Very nice. But we have so many things already accrued. So, as any karma, suppose I have done some good karma, given some donations or prayed to the Lord or worshipped the Lord or whatever. Some punya accrued to me, and that punya gives me happiness somewhere. And as much was the amount of punya, so much happiness it will give, and it will retire. It will go away. Likewise, whatever dharma and adharma, the bondage is there, it will have its fruits. The dharma and adharma will have its fruit. Once it gives the fruit, that thing dies, goes away. And that retirement of dharma and adharma is called nirjara, the sixth stage, nirjara. That can be enhanced by penances. You undertake some tapasya, etc., etc., so that this experiencing the dharma and adharma and doing them away can be expedited. So there are prescriptions for that, and that's how the nirjara things, that is the gradual process of getting rid of the dharma and adharma. And this is how it goes. As if there are so many suppose ants on my body biting me, and if I eat something in the body, and when it comes to skin level, the ants may drop off, they may die, whatever. And likewise, I can get rid of the ants. Likewise, the penance will get rid of this what was called as dharma and adharma thing. And this process of getting rid of is nirjara. When we have removed, or when we are in a state of where there is no dharma or adharma left, and no new dharma or adharma is allowed to come, that is moksha. That is the stage everyone has to achieve. And for that, practices are prescribed. How to go about, etc., etc. Ratnatraya, etc. So many practices are there. So this is the philosophical system, or the philosophical and theological system by which this particular moksha is, what you say, attained. This is the system. So the 7 principles are Jīva, Ajiva, Asrava, Bandha, Samvara, Nirjara, and Moksha. One who has moksha is Arhanta. One who has that moksha, attained that moksha, is Arhanta. So they have 5 such stages of the people practicing, or those who have reached. First one is Arhanta, one who has attained to that moksha. Another is Sadhu, one who is practicing it but not attained. Then there is Acharya, one who practices himself and helps other to practice. Then he is Acharya. Then there is Upadhyaya, one who practices, helps to practice, and preaches. He is Upadhyaya. So they have this Arhanta, Siddha, Acharya, Upadhyaya, and Sadhu as 5 positions, or 5 stages, or 5 kinds of people in the religious hierarchy. We can say Sadhu being the first one, who begins and practices but has not attained. Siddha, one who has attained. Arhanta is one who will guaranteedly not come into the bondage again. So he has for sure, like, the thing is, Arhanta and Siddha difference is, the person who got liberation or the moksha here but still in the body, and one who has left the body. So Arhanta is one here, and Siddha is one who has left the body but nonetheless is mukta. And Acharya and Upadhyaya are the higher stages. Higher stages means that is about helping others. So Sadhu, Arhanta, Siddha, Acharya, and Upadhyaya, these are 5 hierarchical things in their system. There are quite a few things. We will take up some and then we'll move to our next big topic, Buddhism. 3 types of Atmas are proposed: Bahiratma, Antaratma, and Paramatma. Here Paramatma doesn't mean the supreme God which operates the world. No, that Paramatma is not meant here. Here Bahiratma is general lay people consider this body or body-mind complex as the self. So this whole thing, whole consideration, erroneous it is, but that is Bahiratma. It is erroneous, but that is how Bahiratma. Then there is bit evolution in the conception. Yes, there is body and there is one Atma inside, which is of the size of the body. So those who consider that to be Atma, so that is Antaratma, bit evolved consideration. And Paramatma is that which has now, that which is liberated and which has no chance of coming back to the bondage. So that is Paramatma. So that is in its pure form, and that in the pure form it has many wonderful characteristics: omniscience, omnipotence, etc., etc. So these are all the characteristics in the Paramatma level. And when it is Antaratma, Bahiratma, those get subdued, do not show up because of the Dharma and Adharma overpowering there. So the aim is to be Paramatma. So Bahiratma, Antaratma and Paramatma, these are three Atmas, they say. Three types of Jnana: Duranaya, Naya and Pramana. Okay, one or two things we'll take up. Two types of people, Bhagavan Mahavir said that a person is having so much wealth and things to enjoy, but he now doesn't enjoy them. And there is another person doesn't have anything and no chance of getting anything, and now he is practicing the religion. Out of them, who is great? So naturally, one who has the things but doesn't get into it is great in his opinion. One who doesn't have and no chance to get, so if suppose he gets it, we do not know whether he will be into it or not. So one who has but gives up, he is the great Tyagi. So that is very important here. And very principle which is practiced by Jainism is Ahiṃsa. That is very important, because Hinduism, the previous Hinduism did not prescribe Ahiṃsa as such. In Yajna, etc., so much of Himsa was there, many killing of animals, etc., and wars, and even we find Bhagavan Krishna telling to Arjuna that you stand up and kill them all, sort of. So that kind of Ahiṃsa is different, Himsa or Ahiṃsa. Here Ahiṃsa means no intention at the level of mind to injure or kill any being, even by speech, not hurting anyone, and by direct act. So at the level of mind, speech and action, no hurt to others is Ahiṃsa. That is the level of Ahiṃsa they propose. And that's why we find Jain Munis, while they do not move by cars, or when they walk, they keep that one brush sort of thing. If there are some, if they see some animals or some insects, etc., moving, they clean the place and then only they sit. That's how. Even washing the body with soap, etc., that may kill the germs. There are many things, whether those are really scientific or really helping spiritually or not. Various people may debate it, but that is how this impact of Ahiṃsa, which is proposed by Jainism, it has this particular impact. That's why we find mostly Jainas not fighting, or no wars, no etc. At times some kings have done it, but Jain community as such, we do not find aggressive or quarreling and killing and in such terrorists and all such things. They are not into it. So this is the basic reason behind their this thing. So this sums up shortly, or I don't know sufficiently, Jainism. Oh, about Jainism, one or two things. How many pramanas do they accept? Yesterday it was mentioned they accept Pratyakṣa and Anumāna, and they accept the third pramana, that is Shabda or Āgama, the sayings of the liberated souls as valid. But when they come to others, when they talk to others, they will come with only Pratyakṣa and Anumāna. They do not say, we accept this thing because our Tīrthaṅkaras have said this thing. So that is not the case. They come to others with Pratyakṣa and Anumāna, sheer logic. So that's why philosophical systems say that Pratyakṣa and Anumāna, these are the two Pramanas accepted by Jainas. Pratyakṣam ekam Charvaka, etc. There are some slokas, and according to that. Buddhism is the same case. They do not accept anybody's utterances as the valid source of knowledge or source of valid knowledge, correct knowledge. Nobody's utterance will be considered as valid. They will have to test it. And the methods of testing, Pratyakṣa and Anumāna, the direct perception or inference. These are the two Pramanas accepted by Buddhism. They are very much into logic. That's why they have sharpened their logical systems a lot. Little historical backdrop is necessary for Buddhism. Buddhism, it begins with Bhagavan Buddha. As Jainism, it did not begin with Mahavir. There are 23 Tīrthaṅkaras. With how much literature is present or not, at least those are mentioned, and even Hindu books, some Puranas mention some of Tīrthaṅkaras, their thought process. So Jainism did not begin with Mahavir, Vardhaman Mahavir. We can very well say that it began with Ṛṣabhadeva. Now, historicity and time, etc., etc., we'll leave it. But Buddhism is not the case. Buddhism begins with Bhagavan Buddha. There was no Buddhist or no Buddhism before Bhagavan Buddha. He did not meet any Buddha as such, or any person who is Buddha awakened. Buddha means awakened. Awakened to the truth. So that was his frustration, in fact. So Bhagavan Buddha, contemporary of Mahavir, about Bhagavan Buddha, 3 dates. One date or one day is very important. It is not the Western or the English calendar system, but the Indian calendar system. The Purnima. He was born on the same date. He attained the Buddhahood or the knowledge, enlightenment on the same date, and he left the body on the same date. That is when we celebrate this Buddha Purnima, maybe Vaishaka Purnima. So that is his birth, and that's why these 3 things are, and these 3 places where he was born, where he attained the awakening and enlightenment, and where he left the body. And 4th place is very important in Buddhism, where he started preaching. That is near Varanasi, Sarnath. He got 4 disciples, 4 Brahmin disciples, and he started preaching from there. So these are the 4 places very important in the Buddhist systems. Pilgrims mostly visit those places. By birth, Buddha was Hindu. Shuddhadana was the king of kingdom Shakya, somewhere near in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh. At present, it is difficult to demarcate Shakya kingdom. That's why he is called Shakya Muni. And by birth, his name was Siddhartha. And since he was a prince, naturally, those days, the astrologers very strong, very well learned. The father consulted the astrologers, and they told that this person will leave the home. He will be ascetic. He will be a great man. So father felt, okay, the only prince, and if he leaves home, then who will look after the king? Naturally, the worldly thoughts came to his mind. And then as Siddhartha grew up, he planted the amenities and beautiful women around him. He was married, but throughout that, whatever attractions and amusements presented to him, Buddha was not happy. And uh, Shuddhodana took care that Buddha should not come across any such event which will pose any question in his mind about the existence and the bad side or the painful, sorrowful side of the life. That's why he should not be allowed to see old people, dead people, or what you say, those who are patients, etc. Not even ascetics. But the same thing happened. Buddha, the Siddhartha went out and he saw a patient. He saw an old man, and he saw a dead man, and he saw an ascetic. Then he questioned, "What is this?" So, patient, one who has disease, is in pain, in sorrow. Old man, everybody has to face this particular phase. Everybody becomes old and dies. And after death, this is the body. That is the dead body here. And then the ascetic. What does this ascetic do? He is finding the solution to these problems. So that is how he connected the dots. Okay, these are the problems that there can be disease, there can be old age, there can be death, and somebody is searching for truth, how to get rid of, how to avoid these things, this or that. And that's how, at some date, at the age of 29, he left his home at night, leaving his son Rahul and his wife and everybody behind. He left the home in search of truth. He went to quite a few ashramas. Those days, whatever sampradayas available to him around, mainly he went to two sampradayas, and whatever they told him to practice, he practiced it sincerely. And generally, they were so much into austerities, very strict austerities, and he practiced that. So, reducing the body to at almost a skeleton, etc. He did it. But even after practicing for 6 years, he did not attain to what was proposed as Sambodhi or Buddhahood. So this state he came to know from those preachers or those sampradayas, these ascetics. Whether they belong to Hinduism or not, difficult to say. Details not available. But they had this concept of penances, very strict penances, reducing the body to the level of skeleton, and then some state as Sambodhi. When it is attained, you will get rid of, or when you will come to know that particular thing, you will overcome this particular problem of life and death, birth and death. So he practiced it. But since he did not get anything, or not anything, we can't say anything, but the desired thing. So he left them and came to what we know today is Bodh Gaya. He came to Bodh Gaya and he resolved, Ihasane shushatu me shariram togastimamsam pralayancha yatu aprapya bodhim bahukalpa durlabham naivasanat kayamatas chalishyate. It's a very famous oft-quoted saying that Ihasane shushatu me shariram, very dangerous resolve, so to say. Let the body get dried on this asana or the posture or the seat where I sit for meditation. Ihasane shushatu me shariram tvag asti mamsam pralayam yatu. The skin or the bones or the flesh, etc., let it go to pralaya, let it get destroyed, whatever. Aprapya bodhim bahukalpa durlabham. He already knew that there is something bodhi. Aprapya bodhim bahukalpa durlabham. In the bodhi, the position, the enlightenment, which is very difficult to attain not in various lives, kalpa, in various cycles of this world, not just the various births, but many cycles of this world. It's very difficult to attain. I will not move my body from this particular position. Naivasanat kayam atas chalishyate. So that was his resolve, and he sat there and meditated, and he got the enlightenment. The enlightenment, so he is the enlightened. That's why Buddha, Buddha dhatu, to know. So Buddha is one who is enlightened. That is how the name comes. So what he got from there, he comes to know what he has preached. Now, what has he preached? He preaches 4 Arya Satya or noble principles that is very pragmatic in his presentation, and without taking into taking recourse to any book or any saying or etc. He puts his philosophy, and a very wonderful language, very impressive language, clear, lucid, with many examples. That is the speciality, and that's why it appealed to many. And he spoke in the language of the day, the local, in those days Pali was in vogue, so he spoke in the Pali language. Though since he was a prince, he must be educated in Sanskrit, he must be knowing the Sanskrit, but he did not speak in Sanskrit. And Sanskrit was the language of scholars those days, of religious discourse and everything. Other languages were not of prominence in the scholarly discussions or religious discussions. However, he, in a way, first person to venture into this, bringing the religious literature in the vernacular, the language of the people then, because he wanted to make it popular. So whatever he spoke is put into 3 books, and these actually 3 boxes. Pitaka, it is called 3 boxes. Pitaka, Tripiṭka, 3 boxes. So 3 boxes. They are arranged. Actually, these are accept. There are 2 main divisions of Buddhist thought. One is Hinayan and Mahayan. This is to be brought in because these Pitakas are accepted by only the Hinayanas. Mahayanis do not accept. That is the difficulty. That's why we have to bring it. Whose books are these? Though Buddha spoke, though his utterances are collected there, some people have collected, put there and assembled, etc., whatever, but major sect of the Buddhism doesn't accept this Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka. So his way of teaching, whatever he spoke, what the 4 principles he proposed, the what you say, the Arya Satya noble principles, that there is sorrow. We accept that there is sorrow. Yes, everybody experiences it. No denial. No book is necessary to tell. No reference is necessary that there is sorrow. So, okay. Since there is sorrow, it has some reason. Dukkha samudaya. First is dukkha. There is dukkha. Second is dukkha samudaya, dukkha karana. There is cause. Without cause, there can be any sorrow. Then dukkha nirodha. There is the position where we can get rid of dukkha forever. Dukkha nirodha. Third thing is. Fourth is there is the way for that. So there is dukkha, there is cause of dukkha, there is a position where we can get rid of dukkha, and there is the way to get rid of it. These are the 4 Arya Satya or the noble principles he proposed. His way of teaching was, he did not venture into the things which were meaningless to his theory. He was very clear about it. That was one speciality of his teachings. He how he demolishes others' view. 1 or 2 examples are necessary. Somebody questioned whether there is Ātma or not. He gave an example. A person wants to have a beautiful woman of a village. He says this, Janapada Kalyani. But people go and ask him, what is her name? To which caste she belongs? what is her height, this and that. He has no answer. If he has no answer of it, then his desire is baseless. There is no such woman. However, he is saying this thing. So, likewise, those who say that there is Atma, but if you ask them, how is it, where is it, what is its nature, and if they do not give any answer of it, so their consideration about Atma is baseless. That is how he tries to impress by example. Then in front of him there were no many sects as such, or cults, or Hinduism. Only one major thought process was there in front of him, those of Purva Mīmāmsakas. We will be coming to it. And there almost 90-95% of the Hindu society was into Purva Mīmāmsaka, and their proposition was going to the heaven, Swarga, going to the Swarga, and for that we have to perform all the religious rites, yajna, etc. are to be done, so that we will have that Swarga. So he wanted to dislodge this Swarga concept also. So he gives one example, that there is a person, he is building a ladder at some square in some village, etc. Now people go and ask him, why are you manufacturing this ladder? He says that I want to climb the house, a tall house. Then they ask, where is the house? He has no answer. How tall, how high, what is the height of the house? He has no answer. How many story? No answer. So he doesn't give any answer about the house. However, he is building a ladder. So he is a foolish man. Likewise, if you ask people whether there is Swarga, nobody has seen. Where is it? No answer. How much thing you should accumulate to go there? Nobody knows. So if that is the case, then you, by doing yajna, etc., you are building a ladder to go to Swarga. Your attempts are useless or nonsensical. So don't ask such questions about Swarga or Atma. They do not come in our way of knowing sorrow, knowing cause of sorrow, knowing the means, and executing the means to get rid of the sorrow. So these questions are useless, so don't go into it. He gives another example of this uselessness of the things. That's how he has avoided many questions. He says there is a person, the arrow was shot and a person was hit, and that arrow was having poison, and that poisonous arrow is, the person is there now in pain. The people around him are thinking of taking him to a doctor or bringing a doctor. But at that moment, this fellow, the patient, starts asking, what is the caste of the doctor, etc., etc., many questions. Now they say that he is doctor, well educated, sufficient to solve your problem. So whether which caste he has, whether he is male or female, whether black or white or this and that, these questions are useless. So you should not ask these questions. Likewise, the philosophical questions which do not pertain, which do not have any bearing on the method we have undertaken, should not be taken up. So what he used to do, he used to keep quiet. If there is any such question, he will not answer. And when he doesn't answer, that means in his opinion the question is useless in the system. Fine. So when he started preaching at the age of 35, he got very long life, up to almost 80 years, and he preached length and breadth, and his way of preaching was so impressive that people just came to Buddhism. His way was such that even we can say 60, 70 or 80% of Hindus got converted to Buddhism. That was the impact. And Hinduism before Buddha was only grahastha asrama, married people. Monasticism was hardly practiced, very few. We come to know from the rishis that there is hardly any rishi who is unmarried. Okay, so that tells us that grahasthashram was in vogue and monasticism was hardly practiced, but Buddha brought monasticism to the forefront to the extent that Swami Vivekananda says that all the young generation went to monasteries to become monks, and that had a very bad impact on the social fabric of the society, because no people to get married, and there was huge loss to the society, and that loss is even now irreparable. That is the statement of Swami Vivekananda. From there, what we come to know is monasticism was so much into practice. So many people went to it because he impressed monasticism so much. He was successful in his teaching. When he preached, his preaching, it was in the Pali language. So those who got into it, they are called as Hinayanis. But later some people thought to philosophize them and etc. etc. They put their books into Sanskrit language, and they are called as Mahayana. Hinayana, Mahayana, two major sects. Hinayana spread into the nearby areas initially, and Mahayana spread far and wide. These are two theological divisions, not philosophical divisions, so to say. Though they have philosophical considerance, we are yet to begin the philosophical part of Buddhism. We have just introductory portion, the prelude to the Buddhist philosophy. But we are already done with the time, and Buddhist philosophy not touched. Something is to be mentioned. In short, I will mention. There are 4 philosophies, 4 darshanas. Sautrantika, Madhyamika, Vaibhashika, and Yogachara. These are 4. We'll take Vaibhashika first. What actually they say in crux? All of them 4, all 4 accept the way they put the things of the world. The external thing, bhautika, and internal thing, chitta. 2 words important here. Later on it has so many divisions, but 2 important: bhautik, external, and internal. The Vaibhashikas say that external is true, internal is also true. Bhautika and chitta both are true. We perceive the external things by direct perception. Pratyakṣa is the pramana. Through that we perceive it, and both are true. They are not shunyavadis, as we generally say nihilism or shunyavada of Buddhism. No, that's not the case. Then these are Vaibhashikas. Then come the Sautrantika. So the Vaibhashika name comes from at 250 AD, etc. There was one huge gathering about the Buddhist bhikshus. One king arranged it, Kanishka, and then he pleaded to them that please collect the sayings of Buddha and put them together, and that collection was called as Vibhasha. And from those collections, this philosophy came into existence. That's why they are Vaibhashikas. This Sautrantika, Sutra Sautrantika, they say that Sutta Pitaka and this Vinaya Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka are not sayings, original sayings of Buddha. Those are sayings of other people, so we do not accept their authority, but we accept the Sutta Pitaka, Sutra Pitaka, and that's why these people are called as Sautrantika. That is the reason behind it. They too accept the existence, reality of the external world and internal world, Bhautika and the Chitta part. But they say, how do we come to know the external world is through inference, not Pratyaksha. That is the difference. Then we come to Yogacara or Vijnanavada. They say external things has external world or bhautika things have no real existence. Only the internal things have the real existence. So both have the existence and both are perceived directly. First one. Second is both have the real existence but perceived by inference, not by direct perception. Third philosophy comes, they said external has no existence but the only internal has the existence. And it is the external thing is just a projection of your knowledge. It's not really outside there. Then comes Madhyamika. Madhyamika is, they are called Madhyamika because they are Madhyama. This is where some Shunyavada is very important to note. What is their Shunyavada? Shunyavada is not nihilism. It's not the nescience or absence of the things. That is not the case. There is no Buddhistic school which proposes nihilism, Shunyavada as such. Neither of these four, no. And at all, if somebody mentions, that is this Madhyamika only. But Madhyamikas say there are two types of things in the world possible, general, which others propose. Sat, a thing which doesn't undergo any change at any time. No change whatever. Such thing is called as Sat. The thing which never exists, they cannot be son of a barren woman. No, not possible. Neither in dream, nor in future, nor in some other loka, etc. Not possible. So such thing is asat. So we have two words, sat and asat. Madhyamika say that the things of the world are neither sat nor asat. Generally, Shunyavada means, nihilism means asat, doesn't exist at all. But that is, they do not say that. They say neither sat nor asat, nor the mixture of two. So that is why they say somewhere Madhyama in, and this is they say in Madhyama, that's why they are Madhyamikas. So this is in short the four philosophies, but all agree on one point, the Nirvana, because Nirvana is the highest point which is to be attained. What is Nirvana? Like we have a lamp burning, when the fuel gets over, the lamp goes off. This going off of the lamp is called Nirvana. Likewise, the sorrows of the Jīva, not the Jīva, please note, not the Jīva, the sorrows of Jīva go off forever. When a given Ashtanga path, eightfold path prescribed by Bhagavan Buddha is followed, this Nirvana is attained where this particular sorrows go off. Now there are subtle philosophical differences about the final state attained, whether a person remains conscious there, whether he is dead there, whether he exists there or not. So there are some differences. Madhyamika say that it exists, it is happiness there. Some say there is no happiness, there is no consciousness there. Some school says that actually person doesn't exist, he goes off. The Jīva itself goes off, the Jīva doesn't exist. So there are some differences about the final state where in the Nirvana, what will be the position of the Jīva. However, Nirvana is the position where one gets rid of all the sorrows and no chance of future sorrows. That is Nirvana. So we will stop here.
Dhanyavad Swamiji. Thank you all for joining for today's session.